Well, how do you do, Blu-ray and DVD movie fans? This is your home physical media reviewer, Mike McGee, and I am going to review for you this new artistic native 3D video that was shot in Germany in 2011 called Pina. And by the time this thing gets finished, my computer should be back from being dusted. I don't got my computer at the moment. And we'll open it up first before we discuss it. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. And now this is the back. And then let's open it up, and it comes within here. Here's the main cover, and it comes with Blu-ray and two Blu-rays, 3D flat and a DVD flat. Here's the main front covers, and we'll open it up. And you see the 3D. You see the 3D on the right, and the DVD on the middle, and the flat Blu-ray on the left. And it contains also pictures. It doesn't have a reversible cover, so if you take this out, it has some pictures of the scenes of the movie. And then if you close it, it has another scene for the movie. And it also contains cards from the movie. I'll show you one or two of them. This is one of them. And here's another one. Now we're going to have a discussion. Now we're going to have a discussion about this movie on Blu-ray, DVD, 3D. This is a very unusual movie shot in native 3D. It focuses on a very famous German dancer and choreographer named Pina. Originally, she and Wim Wenders, a 3D enthusiastic filmmaker, was planning to shoot this kind of autobiography about her. But all of a sudden, she died. So Wim Wenders just gave up on the film. But then the dance troupe decided that why don't we continue to make the film as a dedication to her. A troupe of men and women showcase certain segments of her work at the Wuppertal Theater of Dance. It starts with a woman on the Wuppertal stage that shows up wearing a funny-looking bathing suit and wearing an accordion, and talks about the seasons. Then all of a sudden, all the dancers come out in such a 3D look to introduce themselves. And then right afterwards, you got some dancers portraying 3D stagehands. And they're putting all this sand on the stage like it's a beach. And before you know it, it starts off with these women dancing with slinky underwear to I think, the public domain, The Rites of Spring. And it focuses on this orange-colored slinky slip, and then before you know it, these men start coming out in their loungies, half naked, top half naked, and they start dancing around with a woman. And it seems like it starts focusing in which women group together, in which they try to give one man, I think his name is Andre, a blonde man, the orange colored slip, and he rejects each woman. And then finally he accepts one woman and gives it to him. And then afterwards they start dancing around. Now, looking at this film, I suspect that Wim Wenders added a little sexiness to this film, to the dance. Each member of the troupe, through narration, introduces themselves through voiceover, how much Pina has helped them in their introduction to dance and helped them as professional dancers. For example, you have one of the troupe performers, a blonde woman, who performs her dance movement in traffic outdoors under a traffic signal and a subway car above her. One of Pina's favorite dance numbers is Cafe Mueller, which is based on a real cafe that she and the troops would come in for coffee and a sandwich and go over their daily work. And in this case, it focuses on sleepwalkers, sleepwalking women, and even sleepwalking men. And you've got this, sometimes you have this scene in which this sleepwalking man and woman is hugging each other. Another man goes behind him and gets him to lift up the woman, and she throws him down a couple of times. And before you know it, they do it automatically. And there's a scene in which the two dancers are talking to each other in an outdoor sequence, in a miniature version of the set, where they actually insert the dancers, and they're observing the memories of how Pina showed them the directions in the Cafe Mueller sequence. You also have one scene in which one of the older dancers, whom some voiceover claimed that he also died, and that's kind of confusing because he was on the film, in a park scene, and he's tap dancing in the most ballet way while a dog barks around him, and then he runs up to this tree and he starts scatting and he tap dances, and it ends like a Looney Tune cartoon. Now there's another scene which I suspect is gay that involves that Russian dancer named Andre and a Spanish guy, and he moves around in a glass house, and looks like a glass house, and to this Spanish song, and all of a sudden he moves around. He starts to holler for the blonde ballet dancer Andre, and then all of a sudden he throws himself at Andre, and Andre picks him up and he throws him down and he moves him around, and then all of a sudden they show Andre leaving. He's hollering Andre, and he runs up and throws him up and carries him to nowhere. Now, was this a gay suggestion, or was this the old-fashioned affection that nobody practices anymore in the United States? There's another interesting dance number which is supposed to take place in a public dance, which you have this row of men and women sitting in the backstage, and all of a sudden one of the men show up, and it's a young kid, and they turn around and they face the audience, and they face the dancers, then they face the audience, and all of a sudden they're an old person. And then more group of men walk up, being young, and they turn around and they facing the women, and they turn up front, and before you know it, they're teenagers. And then they turn around, they turn up front, and before you know it, they're old, they're elderly. And then they walk back down, and all of a sudden the women show up upstage, and then they show them at their regular age. They turn around, look at the men, look at the audience, and they're teenagers. And then before you know it, they do the same thing. They're older women, and it ends with a form of a boogie woogie dance team, in which it seems like the emphasis is the men are trying to ask the women to dance with them. It looks like, but they don't want to dance, or it looks that way. And in a subway sequence of the monorails, you have this woman coming in with long curly hair covering up her face, and she's wearing a nice white medium dress, and she's carrying this pillow, and she's walking like Frankenstein, making a lot of groans, playing with the pillow. And then you look in the back, and you notice that one of the dancers are dressed up as a rabbit. I think this is supposed to be humorous, and she makes groans. She walks like Frankenstein, sits on the seat, and sits on the pillow, and then relaxes and moves her hair up to show her face. Now, part of the disc includes deleted sequences, and if you decide to get it, that's up to you. Boy, did they use a lot of dance numbers that were eventually edited. In the making of it, they have the making of it as deleted sequences too, and they added extras. And like, for example, you have that one, Andre, I think, it was a French guy, blonde guy. He's on this chair, this dresser, top of a dresser drawer, with his flesh color bathing suit at the bottom. He's just making strange little movements. And the origins of Cafe Mueller, when it was shot, was when the lights were dark. Now, obviously, the Wim Wenders felt that would be badly affected. That would be very bad in starting that, which originally Pina danced that number. And in the deleted sequences, for example, you also had these dancers saying lines. Yes, saying lines. For example, you had these dancers. They weren't moving around. They were listening to one of the dancers singing a ancient 12th century song. I think it was a 12th century song. And then they show the dancers singing. But boy, this movie had a lot of dance things that had to be edited out. And it was shot in a strange camera. The camera was on top of each other. If 3D Archives are looking at this, they were on top of each other. And then there was a reflector in the middle, like they're pointing the lens, and there were huge, heavy cameras. Now, this is one thing I didn't like about it, and you're going to see it. Watch this. Ta-da! Look. See? These things are loose. And if you put these things together, they're loose. See this how it fell out? It's loose. Watch this. No, it's okay, but every time you slide it out, it's loose. They should have made it tighter. And guess what? This DVD version, which I checked a little bit, it still worked as far as conditioning, was scratched up like hell. I don't know if you can see it. It's scratched up. It is terribly scratched up. But because the Blu-ray flat and 2D versions were in good shape, this wouldn't have been worth spending all the money to send it back just to get the DVD copy. But this was so terribly scratched up. But if you got a copy, you're concerned about it, get a replacement if it has scratched up like mine. Secondly, they didn't include anaglyphic versions, but this was released in 2012 and 13, and most of your 3D TV sets and 3D players are popular, so there's no need for anaglyphic like here. Another thing, Wim Wenders, as I am speaking right now, is making a new 3D documentary with a digital camera, and it's about a painter named Anselm. And I don't know when I'm going to be putting on this show on YouTube, but it's going to be out in February, the American version. So you'll have to order it in Europe. But this movie is what 3D was all about, and his focus on using 3D was to get the audience to become more intimate, to be more intimate with the dancers, to, as I kept saying a lot of times in defense of 3D, to simulate a live performance. So, if you like this video, please comment, or like or don't like, criticize or condemn anything, or enjoy it.